you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years,
sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, I'm coming to you live from my new humble abode in Rhode Island, and so far so good with this reception. I like it.
Good for you. Well earned by you. I know how hard you work to get that, and I'm really happy for you, Jimmy, and I hope all our viewers and listeners are too. Hey, speaking of being happy, congratulations to the Hunter family.
Yes.
To the London Knights, to their fans. Pulled it off in Rimouski, which was really cool because in 2005, when they played Rimouski in the final, they beat Rimouski in London, Corey Perry versus Sidney Crosby. I will never forget that. And that's a heck of an accomplishment by the Hunters and the London Knights to beat a really good Medicine Hat team, coached by Willie Desjardins, who I played against many moons ago. His hair wasn't as gray, and I had more of it. So we played against each other many moons ago. Willie was a heck of a player, Jimmy. He was a really good player. He really
I've
was.
only met him a couple times. Seems like a great guy. But hey, just back to Hunter there, Pierre. I had a friend of mine, just a fan. You know, we were talking about the Bruins coaching search, and we'll get to that in a bit. But just, he says, why don't we ever see Dale Hunter make that jump back to the NHL?
Well, he did. He did.
Yeah. And I think you'd agree with me, Pierre. I said to him, I don't think fans sometimes understand, and this could be the same case. We talked about college coaches as well. The NHL is amazing. There's no better league in the world. But at the same time, when you got a great situation like that, you've won, you've proven yourself, you're happy, your family's happy, you're developing kids, you enjoy that part of it. It's not the grass on the other side isn't always greener. Maybe you got the right grass there, right?
Yeah, I would agree with everything you just said. But you learn over time, and I think Dale had to go, and he did. He went and tried with Capitals, and it was a difficult time in their organization's history. So the fact is that he's had more fun being an owner and being a president and being a coach and working with his son, who was, by the way, his son Dylan was a real good player, by the way. He was a very good player. He was on that 05 Memorial Cup team and spent some time, I think, in Buffalo's organization. You have to look it up, Jimmy, but I'm pretty sure he spent some time in Rochester in the American League. And obviously he's working with his brother, Mark. And Mark's a tremendous hockey guy. Unbelievable. Like, the Leafs, when he was there, he helped stockpile a lot of players for their management team at the time. So, no, I'm happy for him. I just think Dale's probably thrilled to death to be able to coach his own guys and doesn't have to take orders from anybody else. And he can develop players the way he wants to develop them.
Yep, for sure. So congratulations to him and the London Knights and to Medicine Hat. Like you said, great season for them too as well. Pierre, some other big news, not in the NHL, but college. And, you and I have been warning about this on this show for a long time, that this was going to happen when the junior season was finally over. And we are seeing an instant migration of junior players heading to south to play in college hockey. Just your take on that. And do you get the sense that there'll be some other big names coming soon too?
Well, first of all, I think the Gavin McKenna, not trying to scare anybody in Medicine Hat or in the Western Hockey League or in Major Junior Hockey, but I think the Gavin McKenna watch has to be on. His representatives and his people have to look at what happened with Macklin Celebrini. They have to look at what happened with Jonathan Taves. They need to look at what happened, I would say, with Lane Hudson, Cole Hudson now. They all took the college route. Jack Eichel would be another one that comes to mind. Just again, off the top, but in particular, Canadian guys that did it. And for McKenna, I don't know what else he has to prove in Major Junior Hockey. And, people will say, well, he's going to be the first pick anyways. True. But I would say if you're playing against older players in a league where you're not going to score 165 points, no chance. You're getting, college players might get 50 to 60 points unless they're Paul Kariya and they go a little higher than 70. But that doesn't happen. You're not going to have it happen. So I think the biggest one now And I don't have any inside intel, but I know what I'd be doing if I were a college team. I'd be at that guy's doorstep, and if I had NIL money, I would be able to lure him. I believe that.
So that's going to be something to watch in the immediate here as this week goes on. All right, Pierre, obviously no hockey this week in the NHL as we get ready for the Stanley Cup final to begin on Wednesday in Edmonton. Really no huge news coming out between the two teams. We'll have media day in Edmonton tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll get some sound and some good stuff and updates from there. But I mentioned a coaching search in Boston. Both the Bruins and the Penguins still do not have a coach. Multiple reports confirming today that Joe Sacco is out of the race in Boston to become the head coach again. It seems, by all accounts right now, it seems to be between Woodcroft and Stern. But Pierre, you've seen these situations develop over the years. You've seen plenty of coaching searches. You've been involved in them yourself. When you get to a point, it goes on this long. Do you think maybe there's someone, and I don't know who, I'm just asking a question, general question here, but do you think there could ever be somebody that maybe everybody overlooked that's in it and we just don't know? Could that be why it takes so long sometimes?
Well, when I heard, and I don't know who put it out there, and I apologize. Usually I'm up on that, but I've had so much going on today. I've been podcast and TV Central today. Somebody put it out there that they're supposed to have an announcement early this week in Boston.
Yes.
So I think was it Elliot? Okay.
Yes.
So I thank you for telling me. Elliot Friedman reported it. I got to think that they already know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they didn't put anything out there, I'd say they don't know. But the fact that somebody leaked it to Elliot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we will see if that gets announced. One thing to note, though, as I pointed out earlier on X too, if it's not announced by Wednesday, I don't know if the announcement will carry to next week, Pierre, but maybe the press conference would, because Don Sweeney's headed to Buffalo Thursday to Sunday for the combine. I know that's a fact. Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to affect the timing of it or anything.
Yeah, there's some GMs that are in Buffalo now. There are a lot of agents that are there right now.
Yeah.
I talked to a couple of both today via text. So, I mean, that's just how it is. The combine is what it is. It's an interview process. You evaluate. You don't overhype the athletic stuff. You just use it as a baseline for what you need to work on. If you draft a kid, the big thing to me is the interview process.
Right.
And talking to kids. That's a big part of this. It's a huge part of it. But, I don't know when they're going to announce it. You don't really need to have a coach right now. You'd prefer to have one.
Right.
But you don't really need to have one. They're not making player decisions. Coaches aren't.
All right. And as for Pittsburgh, anything new you're hearing on that front?
I have not heard anything new. I was with a bunch of hockey people at a wedding on Saturday night in Boston. Congratulations, by the way, to Kyle Shiro and Mary Grace, his bride.
Nice.
Very happy for them. It was a beautiful weekend in Boston for their marriage. So thrilled to death. The only thing missing was their late father, Reja. But it was an amazing celebration. It really was. And his father would have been extremely proud. But, nobody really was up to date on the Pittsburgh stuff. And there were a lot of different folks there that would have known, and nobody really knew.
Okay, I'm just getting into, I apologize. Text from François Gagnon, who is our scheduled guest today. He's just having trouble connecting. Just sending him the link again here, Pierre. What else, Pierre, did you get to do this weekend besides a wedding?
I flew in a terrible storm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
That was a little different. We were coming in to land in Florida, my wife and I, and all of a sudden we started going all over the sky, and we were on approach, and then we bailed out of approach and started flying towards the Bahamas. I'm not kidding you.
Oh, great.
And we were probably an extra 35, 40 minutes in the air because they did the big loop around. There must have been some, wind shear or whatever, but it was not a great day to fly in and out of South Florida, I can tell you that.
What's your, we're waiting here for Frankie. I'm just helping him connect here. What's a great war story you have, a great harrowing story that you escaped in the skies, Pierre?
I've had so many, but one was I was pre-scouting. I was working in Ottawa. I was pre-scouting a Buffalo, New Jersey game.
Okay.
And I was flying back from Buffalo to Jersey because we were playing them the next day, and I've never had turbulence like that. I thought the plane broke in half. They carried 15 people off the plane.
My God.
They hit the roof of the plane. People were, and I hate to be morbid, people were projectile vomiting all over the plane because once one person did it, everybody started doing it. And I'm sitting back there and I'm trying my best not to have anything happen. And I hung in there pretty good, but it took Jimmy, I got to be honest, when you work in, especially the NHL, you're on a plane a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me probably 3 or 4 days to really want to get back on a plane. And I really wasn't that excited to get back on the next one. But that was a tough one. And then another one, which has a happy ending.
Yep.
We were flying, Gordon Miller and I were flying back from the World Junior in Helsinki. And we were coming out of Helsinki. Everything was good. We were sitting on the top of the plane, and it was a 747. Actually, we went Helsinki, Frankfurt, where we went Helsinki, Frankfurt, and then over. So we were sitting on the top of the plane in the bubble, and the flight attendants could not have been nicer. And all of a sudden, you hear the pilot come on, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going over the coast of England, and we'll be heading over Ireland, and then we'll be making our way into Toronto. And as soon as he said that, it was like there was karma. We dropped like you can't believe. And the flight attendant had like hands full of wine. She was coming to do a service. And the wine went flying.
Yep.
She went flying. Good thing she didn't hurt herself. Like, I was so happy she didn't hurt herself. But we were all covered in wine. Like, anybody sitting up there, you were covered. So the happy ending was we all had to start laughing. Like, what are you going to do? You can't get mad. So we were all laughing about that. That was one that I remember.
Okay. Frankie's having some trouble connecting.
Does he want to just do it voice?
Yeah, I don't know if we have the phone access right now, Pierre, on our studio that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll try and get him through to that. I'm going to share his number to our producer there quickly. Pierre, the other one too. I remember were you on some plane with a team, and you knew you were going through. The pilot told you, and you said, "All right, well, I need beers for the boys."
So I was coaching Hartford. We just had come back. You can go look it up. The most successful road trip in Hartford Whaler history.
Mm-hmm.
One in Quebec. We lost in Montreal. I was really mad at the players. I made them skate the next morning before we flew to Winnipeg. We won in Winnipeg, lost in overtime in Calgary, won in Vancouver, won in Edmonton, and then flew home. So we took the overnight flight from Edmonton to Toronto, and we always flew whenever we had short flights, like 2 hours or less, hour and a half or less. We'd always fly in a private plane. It was a Convair, an old propeller plane, and we were flying over Lake Ontario from Toronto, and we were almost to Syracuse. And the flight attendant, who was a delightful young lady, said, "Mr. McGuire, we always had the same crew. The pilot needs to talk to you." So I went up. I thought he wanted to ask me about the road trip. He said, "We got a bit of a problem with the right engine." I was like, "What?"
Well, that's it. Yeah,
He goes, "Our right engine's going to go at some point here, and I just don't want the players to get scared. We can still fly on one engine." I said, "Why can't we just land the plane in Syracuse or Albany?" Well, he says, "Well, no, we can make it to Bradley. Don't worry." So I'm like, "Oh, man." So I go to the flight attendant. I said, "Do you have any beer on the plane?" And she goes, "Yep, plenty." I said, "Good. Tell the boys they can all have as many beers as they want today. We don't have a game until I think Tuesday or Wednesday." And this was like a Sunday morning. So they all had a few beers. And then the right engine did let go, but it wasn't nearly as loud as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a lot louder. Yeah. And it wasn't. And we ended up landing at Bradley Field in Hartford, Springfield, Hartford, whatever. But yeah, we landed. But I'll tell you what, when he told me that, I was like, "Why can't we just land the plane now?" He's like, "Oh, no, we can make it." I'm like, "Oh, my God."
I don't pretend to know how that all works there. All right, we're going to try and get Frankie on. We apologize for that. Of course, congratulations to him.
It's great.
The Elmer Ferguson Award to hockey print journalists. He will now be inducted into the Hall of Fame with so many other great writers there. So hopefully we can get him on, get some great stories from his career. Pierre, another thing, and you and I were talking about this off air. Another big topic, obviously, over the weekend was what would happen with the Dallas Stars, Jake Ottinger, Pete DeBoer. I don't know if you saw it. I sent it to you, Pierre. I know you were busy. If you had a chance to watch Jake Ottinger's postseason, final media
I
stuff.
saw it. Yeah.
He was amazing. Like, just so mature, so reflective and admitting fault, but also upbeat and showing determination to learn from this and take it to the next level and figure out why him and his teammates can't get past the conference final there. But one thing that was interesting, now this was on Friday, so things could have changed by now. But I thought it was interesting at the time, and I noted it to you then. He said he had not had a discussion yet with Pete DeBoer about what happened in the game. My question to you, Pierre, being a coach in the NHL and an executive, is that just the media looking into that too much? Like, sometimes those things can take a few days and you circle back and you get to them when everything dies down.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on Friday.
Yeah.
Usually there's a settling down process for all players, not just Jake, but for all players. Everybody's a little bit emotional. And so usually you meet, whether it be Saturday or Sunday or whenever it might, maybe Monday. If I were Pete, I would be proactive and say, hey, rather than meeting at the facility, if you're comfortable, I'm comfortable, and that's how I would do it. Why don't you pick a place you want to have dinner, and you and I will meet? That's what I do, and that's how I would say it. If you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. You pick the spot, and I'll meet you there. Mm-hmm. And then I'd say, and dinner's on me. Mm-hmm. Just try to loosen the mood.
Brilliant.
And I think. Look, I'm going to be, again, I like to be transparent with everybody. Maybe I'm biased. Pete's a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. Pete's somebody I really respect. Pete's done an amazing job as a coach in the league for a long time. Hey, it's not a popularity contest. You got to make a lot of hard decisions. I didn't like what he did, Jimmy. I told you that. Yeah. I told you that off the air, and I told you that on the air. And I said on a bunch of different shows. I don't agree with what he did. I think he didn't handle it properly, and it didn't work. And if you do agree with him, that's fine. But guess what? It didn't work. So that's when the guy gets held accountable.
Yeah.
So I feel badly for Pete. I feel really badly for Jake. I do think they'll find a way to patch it up. But you told me that ownership supported Pete, right? Didn't you?
Yes. Well, Gagliardi was on a radio interview. Let me find it here. It was just I just want to make sure I credit the station. He was on there, and his words were, firing Pete is not on anyone's agenda.
So there you go. I'd be willing to bet that Jimmy Nill and Mr. Gagliardi had a talk with Pete. If they haven't done it already, they will have soon. But I got to believe they probably didn't. And I would think that Pete would meet with Jake Ottinger at some point.
Okay. And Shane, if you're listening, Frankie is asking you to call him right now if you can to try and figure this out and get him on. The one thing, though, Pierre, as we noted to you on the phone earlier today, he is heading into the final season of his contract.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Look at Pete. Don't get mad at me. Pete's got plenty of money. He's not coaching for money.
No.
Pete's coaching to win something that he's never won. He's won the Memorial Cup. He's won World Junior Gold. He's never won one thing. He never won the Stanley Cup. Just like Paul Maurice, his buddy. So Pete's coaching for that. And, hey, coaches usually are. Even you got a 5-year deal, Jimmy, you might be working on a 1-year deal. You don't know.
You never know. We always
don't know. I mean, look,
he's fired. Yeah.
Stuff happens.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. They've got some other things, though, too, Pierre. When you're looking at that roster, I mean, what happens with Jamie Benn?
What happens with Matt Duchene?
Matt Duchene. There's a lot of change.
What about Michael Granlund?
Yep, Michael Granlund.
There's a lot of stuff going on there. I mean, hey, he's our friend of the show. What about Tyler? What happens to Tyler?
Yeah. I mean, you look at it right now in terms of they've got Jason Robinson's going in the final year of his contract.
Well, that's okay. The final year doesn't.
Mason Marchment is going in the final season.
He's another one. I know there's a lot of rumors about him.
Yep. In terms of UFAs, we mentioned
they're not the only team in the league that's got guys that are going into last year of their deal. By the way, this happens with every team in the league.
Yeah. This is a lot to appear at once. I mean, I'm counting right now: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 UFAs, and 2 RFAs.
Hey, why don't you do me a favor? What did Florida have last year after they won the cup?
You're right.
You know what? Like, this drama's got to stop, man.
Yeah.
All these people, it's all drama all the time. Like, stop the drama. They'll figure if they want to keep you, they'll keep you. And if they don't want to keep you, they won't keep you.
Do you think, Pierre, with the cap, it's still uncertainty. We know the cap's probably going to go up. We don't know how much. They've made projections.
You've been on that right from the start.
Right?
So you got that right. You got that right.
I'm sure I'm not the only one kind of looking at it that way. And if I'm a general manager and an owner, I'm going to be a little wary, or I would try to. Does that prevent some guys from getting extensions, or it doesn't matter? Everything's situational.
Yeah, some guys will not get the money that they wanted.
Okay.
I mean, do you think Mitchell Marner's getting $14 million?
Do I think he's getting $14 million?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get it. I think he could get it.
No, but that doesn't answer my question.
It's
either a yes or no answer.
Yes, I think it's. I don't.
He's going to get $14 million.
I think that could be an option.
If I'm wrong, I'm buying you dinner. I don't think you will.
All right. And if I'm wrong, I'm buying you dinner.
No. That's not the bet. That's not the bet. It's a one way. If I'm wrong, I'm buying you dinner.
All right. Sounds good. At the Heart next November.
Maybe somewhere else. There's another. I like Merchants Hotel.
Okay.
Merchants Hotel in Belfast. That's a plug for you guys. And at that time of the year, the lobby's amazing. It's got all their Christmas decor in there. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. You walk by that with
it's beautiful. Yep. Oh, what a beautiful hotel.
Yeah.
If you're in Belfast, even if you don't stay there, go to Merchants. It's an amazing hotel.
All right. Looks like we're gonna have to get Frankie on another time. He tried.
That's okay. That's fine.
No
There's plenty to talk. There's plenty to talk about.
There is.
Why don't you do our great sponsors?
Yep.
And then we'll just, because I've got to believe there's questions.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's get to those sponsors right now.
Before you do, you already congratulated Frankie.
Yeah.
So that's the Elmer Ferguson Award winner. Is a substantial accomplishment. It's a lifetime of work to get that, and good on Frankie. I traveled with Frankie for 3 years in Montreal. He was an unbelievable professional. Réjean Tremblay, Matthias Brunet, and Francois. Those were the three guys. If you were traveling, you had to read those guys. Yeah. Even if you didn't and I'm fortunate I speak French and English, but even if you didn't understand it, you could get somebody to translate it for you. It was well worth the read.
Yeah.
All three of those guys were excellent. Really good. And the late Bert Raymond was still writing back then. It was pretty cool. Yvon Pedneau had a great Sunday column. He's in the Hall of Fame. Like, I'm really happy for Frankie. He belongs in there.
Oh, you miss all that to the newspapers and stuff like that.
Oh, don't even get me so going. I used to write a Sunday column with Joe Starkey in Pittsburgh. We did it, I'm going to say, for 2 or 3 years. Paul Steigerwald wrote one, I wrote one, and Joe wrote one every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome.
It was in the Gazette?
It was in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. No, Tribune.
Tribune, okay.
Tribune. It was awesome. It was so good. Like, those guys were plugged in. I was giving a league perspective. It was really great. I enjoyed doing it too. I would write every Saturday night, and then I would write Sports Illustrated every Sunday morning. And then Sunday afternoon, you had to deal with the fact checker from Sports Illustrated. And let me tell you, the fact checker didn't mess around. Like, you had to be able to say,
oh, yeah,
I got that story on Jimmy Murphy from X, Y, and Z research, or from this person. And then they would double check on you. Do you think people still do that, Jimmy?
No.
I don't think so.
No. We just had that conversation the other day.
I don't think
amazing how much stuff slips through. What was that? Pierre, I forget, what were they? Last week, didn't we see like 2 retractions in 1 week? Remember on social? It's like, Pierre, are you watching this? They're just
you're the one that tells me, but I just,
It's just they grab stuff and they go with it. Like, I'll give you an example right now, not to sidetrack, but I just had one of my editors at RG reach out to me, and he says, can you look into this story? Supposedly this guy's going to be available in a trademark. And I said, really? Where'd you hear that? Well, it's a rumor. I said, well, I'm not running with a rumor. Like, and you're my editor. You should be the one telling me not to do that. So, and he backed it up. He found out where the origin was and everything. And it was legit. But that's sort of the mentality now that it's gotten to, where it's just like, go ahead. There you go. Run with it.
Here's something that's not a rumor. We had him on our show. Roman Rotenberg,
Oh, yes.
no longer the
Yes.
coach in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, we don't know what happened.
That was
I'll
shocking.
call him, by the way, to see if I can get to the bottom of that. But
That was shocking today when I heard that.
Yeah.
And
Demidov's former
I
coach.
texted a friend of mine that's heavily involved in Russian hockey,
Mhm.
and I haven't heard anything back yet.
Me neither.
And I was like, whoa, this is a stunning development.
It's radio silence, Pierre, out of there right now when it comes to this. So very interesting. We are told that we might get Frankie, but while we wait, we will go to the sponsors and the Q&A, and then we'll loop back to François Gagnon if we get him. Let's do it. TCS Customs and Logistics. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics. From around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting. TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For a no obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. Again, that is sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. And of course, our wonderful sponsors, Betway, where you can still go all the way with Betway and get up to $200 credit, even if your first bet loses. Go to the QR code right there in front of you to sign up for your new account. Again, this is only for new customers. If you aren't watching, you can go to the details section of the website, create the account there, and redeem the welcome offer. You must be 18 plus. This offer is not available in Ontario. Terms and conditions apply, and always bet responsibly. No pick of the day. Like I said, I'm going to have a bunch of them for you tomorrow. I've been researching. I've got some fun props for the Stanley Cup final, so we'll get to that tomorrow, and I will give you my winner and a number of games on tomorrow's show in our Betway segment. All right, let's get to that Q&A. What do we got? Bill Van Vagel. What's up, Bill? Hey, guys, I love Florida's style of play with their forecheck. Aggressive lunch bucket style. Why did it ever leave? Will power forwards now become more of a focus draft-wise?
They've always been a focus, so Bill, they're just hard to find.
Yes.
They don't fall off trees because most of those big guys that are that athletic, they're playing sports like football, basketball, and baseball. So they're not easy to find, those guys. And, you know, Blake Wheelers of the world don't just fall off trees. Like, people don't realize, and I know you do, Jimmy.
Yep.
Blake Wheeler was a superstar athlete. He could have been a Big Ten football player. He could have been a Big Ten baseball player. He was a Big Ten hockey player, played at the University of Minnesota. He's elite in track. Like, he was a big-time athlete, like gigantic athletic person. You know, you think Cam Neely's fall off trees? They don't just fall off trees. They're hard guys to find. In terms of where'd the game go, like the forecheck game like that, the red line coming out.
Mm-hmm.
People got afraid. They didn't know how to defend with the red line out with the stretch pass.
Yep.
Florida's found a way to figure it out, and they're causing a lot of problems.
All right. Well, we got our man right now, François Gagnon, join us from Edmonton. There he is.
Gentlemen,
how are you, my friend?
God,
I'm doing great.
They don't teach computer logic at your newspaper?
Yeah, computer to write, I'm good. To go on podcast, I'm not good. But, you know, I've been laughing for the last 15 seconds because I heard Pierre say gigantic. And for me, that's always perfect.
I love it. Frankie, congratulations. You are a 2025 Elmer Ferguson Award winner. Take us to the moment when you found out.
Oh, man. I still can't believe it, by the way. I don't know if you've seen the piece, but I was asked to go to RDS, where I work, French TSN in Montreal. And I was told that we were doing like a special feature on Chantal Maccabé, who used to work at RDS, and now she's the VP of communications with the Montreal Canadiens. So I said, okay, fine, I'll be there. She's always been great to me. She's a good friend. So I show up and I asked the producer, I said, okay, what are we going to talk about? He said, don't bother. Don't worry. It's going to be easy. It's just a chit chat to insert in one of our postseason show and everything. So I said, okay, fine. So we start. And at some point, it's not going anywhere. It's bad TV. I don't understand what's going on. And then the announcer says, well, wait for a second, because we have a guest that we want to introduce on the show. His name is Frank Severelli. I said, Severelli on my show here in Montreal? What's happening here? And then he shows up. He has a great smile, start talking. And at some point, he becomes really formal. and he started reading something, and then he announced that he's as a president of the NHL Writer Association, he's pleased and honored to announce me that I'm the Elmer Ferguson Award winner for 2025. Man, the images are telling. Like, I'm surprised, then I'm shocked, then I'm trying to find a way to camouflage the fact that I'm crying, and I still to this day don't really believe it. And after that, my kids went on the air to give me an homage. Jacques Martin, who's become a friend over the years, who taught me a lot. After that, Pierre did a great job at it when he was in Ottawa with the Senators. Stéphane Quintal came on the air to tell me that I deserve that award. To which thing I don't doubt it, but I want to make sure I'm worthy of that honor. So it's just been a great week and a half since I've known it, and it was confirmed and publicly announced on Friday by the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and you deserve every single announcement. I couldn't be more proud to be your friend. I know the professionalism that you personify. Who was your mentor as a writer?
Oh, so many of them. Like, when I was a kid in Quebec City, in those years, there were still newspapers. And, Wednesdays and Saturday, it was really heavy and you were going door to door. So I was putting Le Soleil from door to door. And Claude Larochelle was a hockey columnist at Le Soleil, played with Jean Béliveau when they were kids in Victoriaville, Quebec. And, and he's an Elmer Ferguson Award winner. It was in 1989, if I'm not mistaken. And Maurice Dumas was covering the Nordiques at that time. And all those reporters from Le Soleil and Le Journal de Québec were like my idols. I was reading every piece of everything every day. And same thing in Ottawa when I moved there. And same thing in Montreal with Bertrand Raymond, who's also a Elmer Ferguson Award winner. And when I was becoming better in English, and then you start reading Mr. Fisher, who's been there forever, and Michael Farber, who is a genius. That guy could write in French without knowing a word of French, and he would still be 10 times better, 100 times, 1,000,000 times better than I am. That's how good he is. So reading everybody the way I did all the time when I was a kid, and after that professionally, because Pierre, remember that when I started covering hockey in 94, when there was a lockout, I was supposed to come with the Senators, so they moved me to do the All-Olympics. In those years, they were great. Claude Julien was an assistant coach there before becoming the head coach and winning the Memorial Cup in 97, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're on it.
So I started there, and then I moved to the Senators the season after that. And that's when I started traveling with Pierre, who was doing the color and radio then.
Yeah.
Before
it's cool. Room. Like I said to Jimmy before, like I thought Yvan Pedneau wrote a great column on Sundays in particular. I thought his column was really good. Réjean Tremblay was so good. He was amazingly talented. But Bert Raymond was so good. Bert was really amazing, and I used that before you came on. I said, like Francois belongs in that with all those guys, because I read their work and I read Francois all the time, and I'm like, they're so similar. It's awesome.
But you know what? It's funny you're saying that, because Bertrand sent me an email, and it was wonderful to read him. He's retired now. Réjean Tremblay called me. Too bad, but Yvon is passed away a couple of years ago. And, you take Réjean and you take Bert. You have Bert, who was always very thorough towards the game. He was loving the game. You have Réjean, who was more of a storyteller. Lancé Compte, that's a famous TV show that was talking about things that happened many years after. Le National de Québec was in jeopardy in Quebec City, and after that was saved, and we all lived that with the Nordiques before they moved to Colorado. So it was a visionary. Those guys were different in their style, in their approach, in their way of working. And I think I was lucky enough to know both of them, to know all of them, and try to say, oh, this is great. I need to find a way to not be as good as they are, but to bring that to my work the way I do work and grab this from another one. And that's why mentors are so important, because you try to go and grab a few things of them, make sure that you listen when they talk to you. Those guys will not give you a lot of explanations on something, but if they give you like a small message, watch this. You're too strong on that. You're too soft on this side. Then make sure you take a note. Make sure you remember. And then when you work, put that into consideration. And I said to Bertrand, thanks for everything. And he said, I never done anything for you. I said, of course you did. You will never know how much you did, but you did. And I'm telling you, same thing for Régent that I said that. And same thing for all the editors that gave me the chance to work in sports at Le Droit newspaper first, at Le Soleil in Quebec City, at La Presse in Montreal afterwards. So I've been lucky enough to be able to follow the footsteps of those great people that I can call today my friends, and to do a job that has been a pleasure, even though hours are long. And when you make a mistake, you know about it, because we all do mistakes. It has to be honest mistakes. And I've been doing that forever. I'm 62 years old. I'm still a kid at 62 years old, and I'm loving every second of everything.
Hey, Jimmy, just before you go on, he talked about Lancé Con. That's a thing that Régent was part of. He also did a show. And, Jimmy, I only watch hockey, except for one show I used to watch all the time. It was called Omerta. And Régent wrote – it was – right, Frankie? Omerta was good. It was a great show. I'd watch. It was in French. It was like a mafia show. But Régent wrote that. It was good. And I kept saying to him, are you counting your money tonight?
Yeah, he's wealthy enough. Yeah.
Oh, yes, he is.
But there's another example. He's almost 80 or a little bit more of 80 years old, and he's still a kid. He is still a kid. And that's the way to approach our jobs. I mean, we are doing great jobs. We're covering a great sport. And we need to make sure that we understand that we are lucky enough to do that, so that we can enjoy it and emulate what we love about the game and what we love about our job to people, to bring them to hockey and to find a way to make them love the game as much as we do love the game.
I love that. Well said. Well said. Speaking of loving the game, Frankie, I probably got so many stories, but if I want to take you back to, if you could talk about the first time you covered the cup being raised, when you first saw this as a reporter. I know you had plenty of memories as a fan, but as a reporter.
The first cup, you're cutting me off guard. I want to say that the first one that I saw raised was in Chicago. When there was there was a thunderstorm, the cup was late.
Tampa Bay, 2015. Tampa Bay.
That's it. Was that in Tampa? It was in Chicago.
It was in Chicago. No, it was in Chicago, and the cup
but
got
again,
there late.
that's right. That's
2015. Trust me, I was on the ice freezing my butt off.
I don't even remember if that was the first one.
The report,
but we were all in line, waiting for the cup in the Zamboni entrance. And then we know the cup is not there, and we don't understand why. And at some point, the cup comes in, and we were all there talking. And when the cup went through, everybody got silence. And for me, it's always been the same.
Yeah.
Before every Stanley Cup final, there's a gathering for media, and the cup is there. Every year, I take my phone. I could show you pictures, starting with a little bit of color in my hairs. Now they are gray. You can see me change over the years, but the cup is always the same. And there is always the same respect to that trophy that is the toughest trophy to win in professional sport. For me, it's the most beautiful trophy ever done. And, it's that. And you understand the meaning of it when you, as a fan, because when I look at the cup, I don't look at it as a reporter. I look at it as a fan that was playing hockey in the street, freezing fingers, his butt, his ears, but winning the Stanley Cup in overtime in game 7 every night after school. And I was raising the cup. But every time that I see it, I'm going back to those years and I say, it's in front of me. I've never touched it.
Amazing.
Or I'm lying here. I touched it once in Ottawa because I was not sure it was the real one. And and that's for another story. But and every year I look at it and I say,
yeah,
God, you are beautiful.
Yeah.
What you're going to love. Right,
and that was not for you guys, okay? By the way.
We get it. So what you're going to love is because now you're a member of the Hall, or you will be in November. You're going to come to a private function that they have for all the honorees. I'm fortunate I'm on the committee, so I get to go. And the cup is right there. And it's just you and the cup and all the people who you're joining in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
It's going to blow you away because it'll be the first time you'll ever have seen the cup presented that way. It'll blow you away. It's an amazing thing. And I've been part of that committee for 7 years, and I can tell you, never does it get old.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
Oh,
and I slept with that baby twice. So trust me, it never gets old.
Oh, I could not do that.
Quickly, before we let you go, I know you're there covering the Stanley Cup final. Have a great time doing that. But just quickly, your thoughts on the Montreal Canadiens this offseason. How active do you think they're going to be on the trade and free agent market?
I think they're going to be really active. Now, you know Jeff Gorton more than I do, so you probably have some insights that I would die and pay a lot of money to get. But, you know, Jeff is not the kind of guy who talks a lot to the media.
Right.
Same with Kent Hughes. And they've seen things interesting. When Jeff Gorton said at the end of the season that, you know, offer sheets could be more used this year than ever after what the St. Louis Blues did to the Oilers last summer. Right. That rang a bell to me because there's a lot of great guys that could receive generous hostile offers, and that could change the path of their career and the path of a team like the Montreal Canadiens. Mm-hmm. They can, because they have the will of the owner, they have the money of the owner, and they can still work under the cap with Carey Price being there for how long, we don't know, but it's his last year anyway. But they can move and they can use that money to bring somebody. So is it going to be by an offer sheet? Free agency on July 1st, a big trade, and I still believe a big trade could happen, but is it going to be one of those three, two, maybe three? I don't know, but they need to be active because the kids, you know, Nick Suzuki first and all the others behind him, when they said, don't touch the team. Let us prove you we can get to the playoff. They did that. Yep. Of course, they were kicked out of the playoff in 5 games by a team that was more powerful, more experienced. Mm-hmm. But just to get to the playoff was a great message to both Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton to say, it might be time for you guys to give us something, to help us bring this team to another level. Mm-hmm. And I believe they have the coach to do it. I believe they have the management to do it. And for the first time in many years, I believe they have the core to make sure that they will be able not only to do it, but to succeed doing it.
I agree with Francois, Jimmy.
I agree. Well, my friend, congratulations. Enjoy your trip out there. And hopefully we'll see you around soon, all right?
No problem. It's always a pleasure. And I promise the next time, I'm golfing a little bit, but I'm better at golf than I am at finding a way to connect myself on a computer.
We'll get you in person next time.
Just a little bit better. So that shows you that I still have a lot of flaws in golf too.
The next time we get Plains Public Health, that's when we'll have Frankie Gagnon.
We will. We'll have him there for sure.
In person.
Perfect.
All right.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations. The 2025 Elmer Ferguson Award winner here on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network. He's a beauty, Pierre.
Oh, I spent a lot of nights with him on the road. We had some fun. He worked hard at his golf game. He likes to golf and he works hard at it and he's good at it. And I love what he said about Michael Farber. He couldn't be more correct about Michael. I love what he said about Réjean Tremblay. I love what he said about Bert. Love what he said about Pedno. Yvon was a friend of mine. Yvon Pedno was a really good hockey person.
Yeah.
Really, really good hockey man.
Yep.
So those are guys that I grew up reading when I was a kid, and then you move on. Obviously, he talked about Red Fisher a lot. Red, I don't know how much you got to know Red, but Red was amazing.
Oh yeah.
He had the best stories about traveling on the train with the Canadiens in the 50s. Oh my gosh. And you know what? Jimmy, like, I don't like to talk too graphically on this show. Some of the stories I'll tell you when we're together, it's just unbelievable. You're like, whoa, that really happened?
Yeah.
It's just amazing stuff.
We'll get to our questions another time. My one Red Fisher story was one for the ages when I met him, and that was the only time I was with him in person talking. But let's get to the Q&A. And by the way, too, one thing I want to say about Frankie, what he said there too, and it showed so much throughout that conversation. You have to have the passion still for the game. You're going to do it right. You got to have the passion. And Pierre, that's one thing I love about working with you is just your passion for the game, your love for it. And every day we're always trying to learn new things and we're always trying to get better. So we definitely can relate to that. So that was
Here's the one thing I tell all young coaches and I tell all young players. If you had to look at the clock every day while you're on the ice, you don't want to do this.
No.
You should get out. Get out now. Save yourself the heartache. But if you're prepared to go there and have fun and not know what time it is, you'll make it. You will make it. But if you're I see so many. I go to all these, how many rinks I go to. And I go to the rinks. I try to watch the young guys and girls and the old ones and the young ones. And when I see the young children looking up at the clock, are we done yet? I'm like, maybe better if parents don't have that person playing hockey anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see coaches doing that too, like leaning on the boards and, like hunched over. I'm like, you would never work for me. You'd have no chance. That wouldn't work.
You got to keep that passion burning and appreciate, like Frankie said there.
I love what Frankie said.
It was really great. I'm going to put that out there too when we post it on social. That's something to watch for young aspiring journalists or aspiring in any field.
Anything.
Of what you do. All right, next question. What do we got? Kevin McClafferty. What's up, Kevin? Reports last week that the Islanders Lou re-signed their AGMs, one being Lou's son, to extensions prior to announcing Lou will not return. Is it common for a new GM to inherit AGMs like this?
Rob Blake did the same thing in LA with the scouts. So this is not something that's, out of the blue. You do that as a sign of loyalty to your people that have worked for you. The other person that was signed is Steve Pellegrini. I've known Steve since he worked in the league office. He's a rules expert and a contract expert, Steve Pellegrini. So I understand why Lou hired him in New Jersey many moons ago. But this is not – I can't believe the media blew that up like they did.
And that's where I was going to go, Pierre. I was
really disappointed in that. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Because it's standard operating procedure. If you work for somebody for over 10 years and you did a good job for them, or at least perceived a good job, they usually say, you know what, I'm probably going to lose my job, but I'm going to give you 2 extra years. And so it gives you a little insurance and a cushion until you find your next job. Because they're not – everybody says, oh, yeah, you can go get another job. They're not that easy to find.
Yeah,
I don't that easy to find.
Big fuss, Pierre. Everyone's criticizing Lou, saying this is cheesy that he did that and this and that. I'm like,
how come nobody said anything when Rob Blake did it in LA?
This isn't news to me. I don't get it.
No. Do you know what, how come nobody's reported this? Dr. McMullen, when he sold the New Jersey Devils, before he passed away, he gave everybody a bonus that had worked for him. It went by years of service.
Oh, that's great.
And Maria Carnevale was the personal assistant to all the general managers. And I even think to Dr. McMullen over time, she got a substantial bonus and she should have.
Good.
And nobody wrote anything about that.
Yeah.
All those scouts, I know a lot of those scouts. I don't want to embarrass them, but all those scouts that had been there 10, 12, 14 years, they got substantial bonuses. Nobody ever said anything about that.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody's taking runs at Lou for this. I don't get it. But all right, next question. Tim Sleppy. Hey, guys, with TV numbers down, how does the league justify this long break? Excuse me. The casual viewer is lost. Go Cats.
Tim, we're on the same page, and I did a breakdown of it. There's a 3-day break between games 2 and 3. there's a 3-day break between games 3 and 4, and there's a 3-day break between 5 and 6 if they're necessary. It's gonna be tough. The only good news is the NBA has one of those finals that has Oklahoma City against Indiana. So Philly's not in there, Boston's not in there, New York's not in there, LA's not in there, Dallas isn't in there, Chicago's not in there, Miami Heat aren't in there. So the NHL kind of dodged the bullet on that one because they don't have to go compete against the NBA.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be a long final, I think. All right. Next question. Juice_031017. Thoughts on Igor Larionov getting the head coaching job with SKA St. Petersburg?
Well, we just talked about
Roman
losing his job, and Igor's brilliant. He's a very special friend and somebody that I like very much. So I'm happy for him.
Congrats to the professor. All right, next question. Randy Workman, fourth period is saying the Sharks are trying to move up to number 1. What would the cost be to do that?
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
You got an impact defenseman that's going to be a franchise player barring injury. This reminds me a lot of Pronger when we drafted. First of all, Brian Burke did that whole deal. Not anybody that works there that says they did the deal, I'm going to tell you they're full of poop. I was there. Berkey did that whole thing on his own, and he did an unbelievable job. And it involved 3 teams. It involved San Jose, Calgary, and Hartford. And Berkey did it all. And we ended up getting number 2. And because we knew Ottawa was taking Alexander Day, we took Pronger. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to tell you right now, this is a 983 draft. Jimmy, just telling you, like, what Berkey did was amazing.
Yeah.
And then Brian left later that summer to go work for the league. And all I can tell you right now is the offers that Paul Holmgren and I and Kevin McCarthy, we were working together, the 3 of us. Mm-hmm. The offers we got from some teams for Pronger were off the charts, like crazy. It would have changed. Well, I'm sure Christopher would have won the cup before he did in 2007 because he would have gone to a really good team if we had made this one deal. I'm not going to tell you the team, but the offers were eye-shattering. How much people were offering us for a franchise defenseman like him.
You know, one thing, just getting back, and I remember you telling me that whole story on how that went down, Pierre. I'm thinking about it as you're saying that, though, with this draft, right?
Yep.
If the Islanders,
no way, you do not trade away a franchise defenseman. No chance.
Okay.
And if you do, look, I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm not going to tell you the team. But there was a team telling me when Tavares went 1, Duchesne went 3, and Hedman went 2. Okay? Mm-hmm. Hedman went to Tampa, Tavares went to Islanders, Duchesne went to Colorado. There was a team telling me that Hedman should have gone 1. And then there was another team. And I was like, I've seen all these players play. I know who should be 1 or 2. It's kind of like when Stamkos and Doughty went 1 and 2. You couldn't have gone wrong. You know, like Stamkos, he won his cups. Doughty won his cups. No, like
what I'm saying, if I ever entertained it, okay, I'm Matthew Darsh, and if I said, all right, you know what, just show me what like just show me an offer, and maybe I'll consider it. I'm asking for a 2026 pick.
Yeah, but how? No? What team do you think? Who from San Jose?
Well, you got let's say
the top. So because you want Gavin McKenna, how do you know you're getting him?
You don't, but at least give yourself a chance. Better chance than you have. No
way. Give me the franchise defenseman all day long.
Okay, I wouldn't trade him. I'm not saying that, but
I understand what you're saying too, though. I'm just saying there's no guarantee because they had the lottery.
Well, just take what's in front of you, right there.
What happens if you lose a lottery? Let me just throw this one at you.
Which could happen.
I'll never forget it. James Duthie, Gord Miller, Bob McKenzie, and I were in the room in New York, the Sheraton Hotel, when they did the draft lottery. There wasn't a lot of people in there because they weren't allowed. And it went Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Carolina, 1, 2, 3. And Bill Daly did it. And after they said Pittsburgh won, because they announced who went 3, it was Carolina. So they took Jack Johnson. And it was between Berkey and Pittsburgh, Anaheim and Pittsburgh. And when they said Pittsburgh gets first pick, there was a bam, really loud.
Is Berkey?
Yeah. Can you blame him?
No, not at all. You come that close. Oh, yeah. It's going to be interesting next year for sure. All right. Next question. How important is the first game for Edmonton this coming Wednesday? It seems it's exceptionally important for Edmonton to hold serve. Pierre said this the other day. Game 1 is huge in this series.
It's gigantic. Look at so sound the siren from Carolina.
Yep.
They lost game 1 to Florida, and it wasn't long till they lost game 2.
Yep. So it's huge.
This is mammoth. This is people. I know people are poo-pooing it, but I'm telling you, game 1's going to matter in this series a ton.
Big time. All right, next question. Franco, why do stud defensemen like Sam Dickinson and Zev Biam, it's drop? It's really hard to understand. Some teams will regret their picks, and San Jose will reap the benefits for a long time.
So wait a second, but Dickinson just won the Memorial Cup with London.
Right.
Zev Biam's not a big guy, and that he dropped, I think, because of size. But he's an exceptional player, just like Dickinson's an exceptional player. They're both really good. That happens. I mean,
yeah.
But hey, listen, Seth Jones went 4. You look at it. Cale Makar went at 4. You can look at a lot of different players that have slipped in the draft, and they end up being good players. Jimmy, I did an exercise before we keep going this morning. The 2013 draft, Barkov went 2, Jones went 4, Nurse went 7. The 2014 draft, Ekblad went 1, Reinhart went 2, Draisaitl went 3, Bennett went 4, Kasperi Kapanen went at 22. Okay, these are all guys that are playing in this, so it just shows you how to gauge it. The 2015 draft, McDavid went 1, AJ Greer went at 39. And Nico Mikkola, who's probably the biggest breakout player this whole playoff, he went at 127.
Wow.
So I'm just showing it. So that's 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's how long it takes for these guys to get into these positions to dominate.
Yep.
And people just they're going to do it in 2 days or 3 days.
Oh.
No. Sam Reinhart's on his 2nd team. Seth Jones is on his 3rd team. Sam Bennett, I just said 2nd team. Kasperi Kapanen, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Toronto, Edmonton.
Yeah.
AJ Greer was drafted by Colorado, Boston, Calgary, Florida. Nico Mikkola drafted in St. Louis, New York.
Florida.
Gustav Forsling. Chicago, Vancouver, Carolina, Florida. This is when I get mad at all these guys. They're formulating opinions, and they have no idea where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, it's the rush job. It's out of control right now, Pierre. I mean, it really is, and especially when you have a draft like this where it's kind of all over the place. These fans got to keep in mind when I see fans projecting lineups. I'm focused more on the Bruins for next year. Yep. And they've got these kids coming right in. And I'm just like, no, it's not going to work that way. It takes time. Unless it's a Gavin McKenna or, a Celebrini or somebody like that, which is rare. It's going to take time.
It takes time.
Yeah. And you got to just go in knowing that. All right. Next question. Steve Lash, if you haven't spoken about the Laval Rocket yet, what are your thoughts on them being down 0-3? We spoke off air about it. Has concern, doubt, and fear now set in? Pierre's 3 things to watch out for in the playoffs. Game 4 tomorrow night. Any hope for Laval, or are they done?
They're done.
Yeah.
The other guys are more mature. They've been in the league a lot longer. They did a great job with college free agents in Florida. And they're all playing in Carolina right now and Charlotte. Yeah, so they're done. I mean, it's just there's too much. And I think Montreal or Laval kind of lost their way a little bit, kind of like Carolina when they played Florida. I think Laval kind of lost their way a little bit.
Yeah, and they'll be back. great deal. Well, depending how many guys go to the end.
So, and I apologize. Somebody wrote it. I think it was Grant McCagg wrote it. Owen Beck in the last 2.5 years, how many games he's played. Like the number's outrageous. Wow. Between Ontario League playoffs, AHL playoffs, a couple games in the NHL and regular season, like the number's cuckoo.
May not be good right now because his legs are probably falling off, but in the future that's going to be huge.
No, but they said that he is out of gas, and I totally agree with that.
It happens.
He's out of gas.
All right, next question. Habs seem to have moved on from the idea of Doc being their 2C, but his play style doesn't match a typical bottom six center. Is he destined for the wing, or do you still think he has a shot at C? I want to know where he's going to be playing next year. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I think
I don't believe he'll be the second center in Montreal.
Yeah, he's not going to be the 2C there.
I don't believe that.
All right, next question. CMOC hockey training. Do you think Blashill and the Hawks could be knocking on the door for the playoffs next year? And who should they target in free agency? I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they'll be better, though.
They'll be better. See, the problem is they're in a tough neighborhood because you start looking at Minnesota, you look at Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. You have to think Nashville will be better next year. Dallas is a tough neighborhood. Colorado is a tough neighborhood. Like you're in a tough Utah. You're in a tough neighborhood.
I think Utah is going to be better too.
I'm just saying, you're in a tough neighborhood.
You know what? I'd say just in reference to Chicago, Utah's maybe just a step ahead of Chicago. I think they're ready to start. Maybe do what the Canadiens did last year, at least sniff the playoffs, Pierre, and then maybe sneak in. All right, next question. Alex Evanowski, your choice only. Do you prefer teams to tell the truth to the fans about how dire the situation is and admit a rebuild, or would you slightly fib to try and keep engagement or attendance?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I tell the truth because eventually the lie is going to come back to haunt you. So
I do what the Rangers did. Gordon.
Yeah, I love
the letter. Write the letter. Here's what we're going to do.
You only go up from there.
But you got to be transparent. Here's what we're going to do. Boom, boom, boom. That's what I would do.
Yep. And he did it. If they kept him, they would have been in a better spot. All right, next question. Bill Van Vagel, has there ever been any talk of doing away with the All-Star game and just allowing all players to rest? The stars work so hard. They don't deserve some downtime also.
No, the All-Star game is an amazing fundraiser. It's huge for corporations that are sponsors of the league. They all want to get together and be there and try to showcase the product. They want to be part of it. It's a major thing for the league. And I know people don't like the All-Star game, but the All-Star weekend does so much goodwill for less fortunate people and for great causes in the city that's hosting. So whether they do a Four Nations thing, which I don't think they'll do again, or do a different kind of an all-star situation, I think the All-Star game's here to stay. You know, if you've had the privilege, like I've had the privilege of broadcasting them and also coaching in it. And it's an amazing thing to be at. I can tell you, like you get treated amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is, Pierre, it's not necessarily it has a hard time being a TV event, right? Like, I think it's way better to be there in person. You know what I mean?
It's stinky for that. I agree.
Yeah. All right, next question. Juice_031-017. Pierre, what was it like growing up in Montreal in the 70s and watching the Canadiens dynasty?
An amazing gift. It fueled a passion that never left me. Whether it's Larry Robinson or Serge Savard or Guy Lapointe, the big three in the back end, whether it was the late John Ferguson or Jean Beliveau, I think so many great memories. Dryden in 71 as a kid, playing in goal, winning the Conn Smythe. So many amazing memories. And Scotty obviously coaching. Then I end up being the guy's roommate and winning the cup with him. It's just, winning 2 cups with him actually. And being friends for life. I mean, wow, you got to pinch yourself if you're me. So the answer is just amazingly grateful. I'm so grateful that my parents, allowed me to chase my dreams.
Yeah.
They let me do what I wanted to do, which is great.
All right. Next question. Steve Lash, besides Toronto, do you think the other Canadian teams will spend to the cap this coming off season, given the Canadian dollar and the financial constraints many are under?
It's going to be tough. I see Vancouver being one of those teams. I think they will. I think Edmonton will. Toronto will. I think Montreal will spend close. I don't know about Winnipeg, and I don't know about Calgary. I just don't know. They might. They might, but I don't know.
Ottawa's a question.
Well, I don't look at. They got a friendly deal today. Jimmy sent me the deal today on Tyler Clevin. It's a 2-year deal. What's the AV? 1.6.
1.67. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a team-friendly deal, and they got other guys that are on pretty good team-friendly deals that were done before this ownership group took over. So they're lucky on some of them.
You think they bring back Giroux?
They're trying to.
Yeah.
I think he wants to stay there too.
Yeah. He said towards the end of his career, he's back home.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But
all right. Next clip. Yeah. What do we got? Zahal, do you guys think that all the players leaving the Canadian Junior Leagues for NCAA is a good or bad thing for junior hockey in Canada? I don't know.
I don't think it's great. I don't think it's great for junior hockey, but you're going to have to adjust.
Find a silver lining. I can't right now, Pierre.
Yeah. So here's what's 16 and 17-year-old kids, unless they're Celebrini or Taves or Crosby, Paul Correa, 17-year-old kids can't play college hockey. And there are not a lot of those guys that can. Those are just, Celebrini and Correa in particular. They just can't. They're not physically mature enough or good enough. So I think what you'll see is 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds and even 19-year-olds will stay in junior, and it'll be the rare 19-year-old that will leave. So this will all get flushed through the system within the next year or two. But I don't like seeing what's going on now. I'm happy for the college players. I'm happy for the college coaches. I feel really bad for the major junior operators. I do. I feel badly for them. Like if you lose Gavin McKenna,
that's huge.
That's gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think it's going to happen fast if it is. Like at this time next week, we might know where Gavin McKenna is going to be playing.
Yeah, one way or the other. He either stays or he leaves.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Bill Van Vagel, how much do teams practice their 3-on-3, especially for OT? Are there fourth liners you may keep to have fresh legs for extra time with a speed skill set? Pierre, before you answer, I will say, don't ever forget the late Peter Klemer and what he did in that triple overtime game 1, Edmonton Oilers, Boston Bruins, game 1990, I believe it was.
It was 19. Last time the Edmonton Oilers won the cup.
At the bench the first 2 overtimes.
Yeah.
And then boom. Yes, they do that.
Yeah, they do, but playoff overtime is not 3-on-3, it's 5-on-5. But yeah, no, fresh legs kick in at some point. They do. They do.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Next question. Juice_031017. What's the scouting report on American prospect Logan Hensler? I actually wrote a story about him a couple of weeks ago for RG. So the gist I got from the coach and just talking to some other scouts around, Pierre, he needs to get a little more physically involved. That's the big thing. That was a common thread. And he's working on that from what he told me. But he's got range and he's a good puck mover. That's the scouting report.
Range is the key. He's got range. So the rest of it will come.
Yep.
But this is another example why you don't rush players.
Exactly. All right. Next question. Randy Workman, how many years before Cowan makes it to the NHL? Man, he was something last night. Huh?
So here's my question for you, Jimmy. Let's just say that your theory doesn't hold water and that Mitchell Marner leaves Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Like internally, who's replacing him?
I don't know. I don't think they have a player with those dynamics.
I know Easton Cowan played for London Knights, same as Mitchell Marner. I know Mitchell Marner went right to the NHL after being named MVP of the Memorial Cup.
Yep. So there you go.
Just a thought. I'm not saying he's going to do it.
But it's very possible, considering the way
I think he's going to get to the NHL sooner than people think.
Yep. All right, next question. P. Bruins own the Panthers 2027 first. Given Bob's age, them losing some key players to free agency, and the toll 3 cup runs takes, does that pick have potential to be higher than expected? You mean so
No.
will the Panthers finally hit that wall that we've been waiting for?
Yeah, I'm not going there, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't know how many of their guys are going to lose to free agency.
Mm-hmm.
They've created a Goliath down there.
And here's the thing. I think that the Panthers are the type of team, and I think we saw it at times this season, Pierre, where they can drop a bit in the standings in the regular season, but they're good enough that they can make it up and they'll be fine and get into the playoffs.
Well, I think they did that this year on purpose.
Yeah. I kind of have that feeling too.
I do. Everybody uses this term load management. I know nobody likes to say it.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there was some load management going on there.
Yep. I think Brad Marchand was one of those.
You know, I don't know if Bennett stays. I have no idea. But I like their chances of keeping him.
I think he's staying. But all right, next question. Bill Van Vigo, might Paul Reese get any blowback from other coaches, league executives with his stance on the handshake? I think he got a bit from Rod Brindamore in a polite way. I think we went over this last week, Pierre, right? We have no problem with what he wants to do, but it's
I think I told you when you drop game plans to play against other teams and you really part of the plan is to punish guys. I think it's like when a reporter has a poison pen article about a player or a coach, you should show up the next day to make sure they're seen so that if they have a problem with you, at least you're there. You don't hide behind the trees. And I think if you drop a plan to beat a team and you do it, or even if you don't do it, you should be there, look the man in the eye and say, you know what, you're a heck of a player. I respect you a ton. And so everybody's got their own theory on it. That's just mine. For me, how I would pursue it, but everybody's got their own thing on it.
All right, next question. Juice _031017. Connor Brown is ready to play in game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. Who comes out of the lineup?
That's a great question. Connor's definitely going to be in there.
Yeah.
Probably Skinner.
That's what I was
I'd say probably not Stuart Skinner, Jeff Skinner.
Jeff Skinner, that would be.
Jeff Skinner.
And that's not, truth. He played pretty well while he was in there. I got to give him that. Like,
he got a goal.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Shane said that's it. We are done. What a great show. I'm so glad we got to see Frankie, Pierre. He was great.
Frank's a good man. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. That was
great for him. Really good for him.
So we are trying to get some guys for the rest of the week, Pierre. We will let everyone know as they as the spots fill up. What do we got in the agenda tonight, Pierre? Some recipe for? Or are you on CBS?
Yeah, dinner. No, I got CBS at 6:10 tonight, and then I'm done for the night. Montreal Radio coming up next, and then CBS, and then in the studio tomorrow for CBS starting at 12 o'clock. Special guest star Scotty Bowman.
All right, when that becomes available too, I'll put it up on social. And again, tomorrow we will get very in-depth in talking about and previewing the upcoming Stanley Cup final between the Oilers and the Panthers. But until then, this has been another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.